on Daf Kuf Zayin. Actually, we left off Kuvav on the base towards the bottom of the page. So basically, what we're learning now is that a shomer can sometimes be transformed into a ganef. So we learned that a ganef goes seizes property that doesn't belong to him. A shomer was given the property legally. But sometimes a shomer can turn into a ganef and he will incur the same penalty that a ganef does. And that is if the shomer swore that this object was stolen, turned out to be that he was the one who stole it, so then we treat him like a ganef and that he pays kefil, he pays double. And that is and then we had a discussion. What about somebody who found an object? And the Torah mandates that you should behave like a shomer. Does he also have the same law as well? That shomer aveda, that if he says it was stolen, turned out to be that he stole it, that he has to pay for it as well. And the Chia Bar Abba said yes, that if you're by aveda as well, you have to pay. And we made a distinction between finding an object and then the law that says that if the person who gave you the object to mind was a child, a minor, then the laws of Geneva do not get triggered. And we explained, because in the case of a lost object, it belongs to an adult. You just don't know who the adult is. And it's tantamount to adult giving it to you to watch for them. Okay, so we are now up to the Gemara here. We're up to 3 lines from the bottom of the page. We're talking about Reb Chia Bar Abba, the name of Rabbi Yechanan, so we learn a number of dinim as well regarding Shemrim and Geneva, and then Reb Chia Bar Abba and Rabbi Yechanan. So the Gemara says, Amar Reb Chia Bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, Hatoyin Tainis Ganev B'Pikadon, which is what we've been learning till now, that if somebody claimed that it was stolen, he was a Shemer, claimed it was stolen, and then it turned out to be that he was a Ganev. Einay Chayev, he's not liable to pay the kefil, which is an interesting idea, and that is as follows. We have a concept which we learned a number of times. We'll learn it above Metzi in the beginning. We're having Subas. That's called, we'll have in Shavuos, it's called Maida B'Miktzis. You made a partial admission. And the law is, if you make a partial admission, you have to swear on the balance, as we'll soon see in the Gemara. So Chia Bar Abba says that there's 2 ways of learning Pshat in Gemara. One way is that when this shomer claims it was stolen, and then he was caught lying, and he has to pay double, it's only in a case, because he swore false, it's only in a case where he swore and he admitted to part of it and denied part of it. So, for example, if you only gave the person 1 cow and he swears that it was stolen, he doesn't, and he's caught out lying, he doesn't pay the double, the kefil. You know when he pays the kefil? If he was given 2 cows to watch, and on 1 cow he says, it never happened. On the other cow he says, yes, you gave me this cow, but we know what happened to the cow. It was stolen. So there was kfira b'miktzas, part denial, and hoidah b'miktzas, part admission. Then we say, if it turned out to be that he was a ganef, he pays double. Why is it only then there's a kasef? Which would seem, but if he would totally deny it, if he would say, look, I never received anything from you, then whatever he swears it's going to be, he was a full shvua, he doesn't pay double. So this is talking about a shvua. Others say that we're not just talking about a shvua, that generally speaking, he doesn't have to, not that he was caught out stealing, forget about caught out stealing, he doesn't have to swear at all. If he denies it totally, he doesn't have to swear at all. Not that if he denies it totally and he swore false, he doesn't pay the double. He doesn't even have to swear if he denied the whole thing, as the Gemara will soon explain. Where do we know this from? Why doesn't it make sense? Why only if a partial admission, if there's a difference? So the Gemara says, it's a pasuk. My time, what's the reason? It says a pasuk, ki huza. By a shomer, it says that he was, he's asked about what happened, and he says, ki huza. Now, ki huza, in Hebrew, zeh, you're pointing at something directly in front of you, and who is like distant, remote. So ki huza means part of what you're claiming is who, I don't know what you're talking about, and the other part is zeh. I agree. That's called Maida B'Miktzis. So it says clearly by a shomer that when do you have to go to court and everything else, Asher Yomer Ki Hu Zeh. He says this is it. So it's only Maida B'Miktzis do we say if he swore false he has to pay. If it wasn't if it's a kafir hakel denies the whole thing, either he doesn't have to swear at all, or if he swears and you found lying, he doesn't pay double. However, this argues Rab Chiya by Yosef. Rab Yosef said, extraordinary thing. Eiru Parshias Kosovkan. Extraordinary thing. These words, Kiyuzeh, is written by a Pekatan. Says Chiya by Rabbi Yosef, but the words don't belong here. Actually, the words belong in a different portion of Mishpatim where it talks about a loan. It only applies to a loan that a Maidim and Mitzvah has to pay. But a Kaifer Hakel is Pater. But when it comes to Pekatan, you always pay. A kafir hakel pays as well. If he denied the whole thing, he only had one cow, and he denied that, he said it was stolen, and it turned out to be that it wasn't stolen, or he denied it had it, turned out to be that he swore false and everything else, and so on. A kafir hakel also has to swear. A kafir hakel pays double. So to a meidim mixes. That is. So I says Kiyuzeh, that doesn't belong here. The Torah got mixed up. Eidu Pasha, the Pasha somehow or another got caught up in the wrong place. These possibly belongs in the case of a loan. If I ask you, I lent you $100 and you say you owe me nothing, you don't have to do anything. But if you say, yes, I only borrowed 50, then you have to swear on the balance. That is where Meidim Mixes comes in. And according to Rashi, according to Chiba Rabbah, there's no Meidim Mixes at all when it comes to Pekadon. Pekadon, the din is that a Kafir Hakel has to swear. According to Taisus, what Chiba Rabbah is not saying that it doesn't apply to Kafir by Pekadon. He agreed by Pekadon, if you're denying the whole thing, you don't have to pay double. But all he's saying is that the pasuk of Meidim Mixes belongs in Shreimah, but it also belongs in loan. So in both cases, Meidim Mixes swears. And I'm going to explain. The Chiksiv Kiyuzeh, Milgu the Chsiv. It says Kiyuzeh, it's actually referring to the case alone. Now, why should Milgu be different? So we say Keder Rabba. We say like Rabba. What's the story of Rabba? Rabba said the following words. Now we know Rabbi Shimon likes to explore the psukim of the Torah. What's the basis for it? What's the logic? That's not what Rabbi is doing here. Rabbi has a problem. He said, why would the Torah have to tell you you should swear? Why? You shouldn't have to swear. Why not? Why shouldn't the Meidim Mitzvah have to swear? It's an argument Rashi and Taisus what Rabbi is asking. Not here, but above Mitzvah. Rashi says that this person is known as a Meishiv Aveda. If he would have denied the whole thing, a guy, Reuben says, Shimon, you owe me $100. Shimon says, what are you talking about? I owe you nothing. That's the end of the story. But if Reuben comes to Shimon and says, you owe me $100, Shimon says, I owe you 50. He's being very kind because he could have, if he's a liar, could have denied the whole thing. So he's a Meishiv Aveda. And according to the Torah, a Meishiv Aveda doesn't, and the Rabbana said that a Meishiv Aveda doesn't have to swear. We made a special takana that a Meishiv Aveda shouldn't swear. Otherwise, people will stop giving back. If I find an object and I return it to the owner, and the owner says to me, hey, there was more money in the wallet than you brought me back, swear about the balance, people will stop returning things. What do I need this whole problem? I need a headache. So Chachamim said they don't have to pay Meishiv Aveda. And Rashi therefore says, that's the most question that I was asking. Why do we have to be told that? Why does the Meishiv swear? He's being a nice guy. He's a Meishiv Aveda, should be potter. The Rishonim have a problem with Rashi because they say the whole idea of Meishiv Aveda being potter is only with the Rabbana. But Mahatayra, he should really have to swear. So what's Rabbi's question? So they learned the question is, it's a migui. If he's a liar, he could have said a better lie. He could have denied the whole thing. So now that he's telling us that he owes some money, isn't that credible? Isn't it obviously proven that he's being an honest person? That's called a migui. Rashi doesn't learn like Taisus because Rashi, like many Rishonim, believe that a migui does not exonerate one from a vow. And what's their logic? And Taisus obviously holds a migui does. The logic is, what is the idea of the purpose of a vow is to verify whether you're telling the truth or not. Because if you're a liar, generally people don't swear false. Swearing is something that people were intimidated by to make a shur in Hashem's name, and Sefer Torah and the shofars and all that. However, what's the idea of a migui? Why do we believe in migui? Is it a gzeres hakasuv? It says we had Ksuvas Achabez as bitin asati lisha. I gave my daughter to this person, so we see the idea of migui or other places. Or is migui a logical thing? It's verification. So if migui is if migui is a logical thing, then l'chayri you would say, then what I need the shua for? If the whole purpose of shua is to prove something happened, if I have a migui that it proves that he's being honest, that's it. What I need the shua for? So therefore they hold that a migui does exempt one from a shua. That's traces. Others say no. that a miga is exeris hakasif. And therefore, if the Torah insists on a shvua, I still need the verification of a shvua. So miga does not exempt one from a shvua. So what's Rabba's question here? You're a meishiv aveda. You're being a nice guy. Why swear? So Rabba says, why swear? He said, I'll explain to you why. Because you know what? People, there's no migu here. He's not a nice guy. He doesn't have the temerity, he doesn't have the chutzpah, the goal to look the benefactor, this is Harashla, the benefactor in his eyes and say, you never lent me the money. Can't do that. So therefore, the minimum that he has the chutzpah to do is to deny half. If he had the chance, he would deny the whole thing. If he didn't deny it. He doesn't have the chutzpah. So therefore, he doesn't have the chutzpah and he's not a liar. He's not. There's no migi. There's no verification that he's truth telling. He just doesn't have the chutzpah to say more. So if he doesn't have the chutzpah, if he doesn't have the chutzpah to say more, how's he have the chutzpah to lie half? If he doesn't have the chutzpah to lie about the whole thing, how does he have the chutzpah to lie about half? So we say really, Ubakul by the way, Itaka doesn't have the chutzpah to lie about half. He really should have admitted the whole amount. You know why he didn't? Not because he's a ganef. He just didn't have the money, and he thought I can stall. But you know why he denied it? Somebody thinks if I admit the whole amount, he'll demand the whole amount. At least I will delay a little bit. When I have the money, but I'll pay. I don't intend to steal. Nor that he should admit. So he's not. Therefore, that's why Maida makes a swears because he's not a ganef. And he's trying to stall, and therefore, if he makes a shvua, he's not going to obviously swear false. Rashi Bamatzia there explains a little bit differently. He says the question of a high bull of a kula boy loyle, the rabbis for asking a different question, and the question is, if you think this guy's a ganef and you just didn't have the temerity to deny the whole thing, so what's the point in making him swear? If he's ready to steal money, he'll probably swear false as well. Like Abaye says, if you're suspected of stealing, you'll also swear false. So therefore we answer, he's not suspected of stealing, he's merely delaying. Taisus agrees because the halach is like Rabba, that remember, it's Rabba saying here, so we don't really know what Rabba personally held. Anyway, let's go back to the Gemara. So that's the view of Chia by Yosef, that Maida mixes belongs in the case of Halva, not in the case of a Pekad. So we're discussing Maida b'mixes. Says the Gemara, in fact, Tani Rama Chama will learn exactly like Chia bar, not Chia by Yosef, but Chia bar Abba, that says that Maida b'mixes applies to a Pekad. That in order for a Shomer, if he says it was stolen, the only time that he has to pay the double, we're on Daf Kuv Zayin Amid Aleph, the very last line. And we're discussing a Shomer who claims that it was stolen, and he swore, and then it turned out to be that the animal was sitting in his barn. The din is that he has to pay double. So according to Chia bar Abba, the only time he pays double is if he makes a partial denial and a partial admission. He was given 2 cows. On one cow he says, you never gave it to me. Another one he says it was stolen. Then it's called a partial admission, a partial denial, and then he swears, and then if he's caught out, he pays double. But if he made a total denial, if he said, you never gave me anything, and he swore, turned out to be that this animal sitting in his barn, he doesn't have to pay the double, or he doesn't even have to swear. That's the view of Chia bar Abba. Chia bar Yosef says no. If you're a kaifer hakel by Pekadon, you still have to swear, and if you're caught out, you pay double. The concept of Maida mixes only applies to a loan. So now we learn Rama Chama. The last few words on Daf Kuv Zayin on the bottom of the page. Tani Rama Chama, Abba Shomrin, that these 4 Shomrin, tzrichin, in order for them to be liable, remember, we're taking a shomer who got the item legally, and we're turning him into a ganef, somebody who stole it. So they therefore say, in order to certain criteria you have to follow. Tzrichin kfir mixes, but don't mix it. Partial admission and partial denial. Ve'elohein. A shomer chinim who was exempt from everything except negligence, and he swears that it was stolen, something is exempt, or a borrower who's exempt if it died during the work that he borrowed it for, or a noisei sachar, somebody who gets paid and he's exempt from oinus, from accidents, or a soicher, a renter, which is questionable whether he's considered like a shem bechinim or like a shem sachar. In all of these cases, the only time they have to pay the double, the kefil, is if part denial and part admission. Amar says, Rabbi, my timer, what's the svar of larger Bava Kama? So simple. Bava Kama agrees with Chia Barabba and Rabbi Yechon. It says clearly, Ki who's that? As we explained before, it says there that the Shayma says Ki who's that. Here it is. Who is distant? Zeh is here, as if to say you gave me two animals. One of the animals never happened. Who? I don't know what you're talking about. Never happened. And Zeh, the other animal, is right here. Or this is the animal we're discussing, and I say it was stolen. So that's part denial and part admission. Shoyim Sacher, Yalif, we learn out in the sin B'Shem Chinam. It says by Shem Chinam, if somebody gave you Kalim and all that, it says by Shem Sacher the same thing. So we make a Shav and a sin and a sinner. Shoyl, what about a shoyl? It says, the next pasuk says, Vichi Yishal, and if he borrows, because it's a conjunctive, and that means whatever laws applied before apply here. Vav Moisiv al Inyan adds that in order to be Chayiv double, it has to be a Kfira and Oidah, denial and admission. Seicher, what about a seicher, a renter? Well, according to opinion, Geshem Sacher, Hainu like Geshem Sacher, and Ilam Adam Shem Chinim, Hainu Shem Chinim. Omer Rab Chia Bar Yosef. Okay, that's next din. So that finishes that subject. We're continuing talking, discussing, and delineating the laws about a shemer. How do we turn them into a ganav? So we said that they got up there, they swore. Now, normally a ganav has to physically steal it, make kinyanim. This guy took everything legally into his possession. So till now we learned it's the words, just words. He swears that he doesn't have it. Turned out to be he does have it. He swore that it's stolen. Turned out to be that he stole it himself. Was sitting in his barn. He pays double. So, but he didn't do anything. There's no action. So we're going to have three opinions, or two definite opinions and one maybe opinion, as to when he becomes a ganav here. Because the Torah says he has to swear the couple of vows that he has to make. First of all, he has to vow that he wasn't negligent. Then his second vow is, the Torah says, Im loy sholach yoda b'malechas re'u. He has to swear that he did not use, if he's minding something, he has no right to use it for himself. He obviously has to take care of it for the sake of the animal, but not for his own sake. And if he uses it for himself, he's like a ganav, because he had no right to use it, somebody else's item, somebody else's object. So the Torah says, Im lo sholach yoda b'malechas re'u, if he did not use it at all. And then it says you go to court and you swear. So there's two ways of understanding it. One way of understanding it is, but if he did abuse his position, and he used the animal, and then he went to court, that's when he pays double. So, and why is that? Because that's the only action that he took to become a ganav. Otherwise, if he didn't do anything, words alone shouldn't make you a ganav. So they say, when do you pay the double? Only if you actually use the animal or misuse the animal when you had no right to. The other opinion says exactly the opposite. If you use the animal when you weren't meant to, you became a ganav already. If you became a ganav and later on you swore that it was stolen by somebody else, the shvua didn't make you a new ganav. You already were a ganav yesterday when you used the animal. So that kind of a shvua, which didn't make you a ganav, you don't pay double. When do you pay double? Dafka if you did not use the animal. Then the shvua turned you into a ganav, and that shvua then makes you pay double. And the third opinion, possible opinion, is that it doesn't make a difference. You did use it, you didn't use it, you always pay double. So that's the Gemara now. Says Reb Chiva Yosef. If you claim that it was stolen by Begotten, you're not liable unless you had to first misuse this animal, so you became a ganav, you did a mice activity, coupled with a shur, then you pay double. My time of why? Because read the pasuk. It says the pasuk, "Nikra balabayis alakim." You were brought to the judge. Im lo sholach yad melechas re'u. If you did not use it, miklal the isholah bayad mechayiv. If you did use it, that's when you're chayiv. The memra to tell you the b'sholah bayad that's kidding. That the only time that if your shvua brings on, you have to pay a double amount if you use the animal when you weren't meant to. Rab Chiba said, I disagree. Rabbi Yechon himself said, the animal's out there nowhere by a trough or he's in the wilderness. You did not misuse the animal. Rabbi Yechon said that even if you did not misuse the animal, it's the shavua on its own that brings on the double. Now the question will be, what happens if you did misuse the animal? What would Rabbi Yechon hold? Would he say the same thing, that you still pay double because of the shvur? Or in that case, would he say, oh, that's an exception. You already became a ganav before the shvur. The shvur didn't make you a ganav, therefore you don't pay double, if you were caught up, because you're not really a ganav in the sense that you didn't take it illegally, or you didn't bring it into your reshus without permission. Dafka by Medal Buzakama is Rabbi Yechon saying only if it's out in the wilderness, and no, if you did not use it. But if you did misuse it, then Rabbi Yechon would say, Kana, you were kind of the animal, you already became a ganef. In what sense? That you're responsible. If anything occurs to this animal, you're responsible. But Shvuah doesn't add anything, you're already a ganef. Or perhaps or maybe Rabbi Yechon meant that even if you didn't use it, I don't care whether you did use it, didn't use it, you swore false, you swore that it was stolen, and you were caught out, you need to pay. Amalei, he said to him, Zula Shemaiti, I didn't hear about this particular case for Rabbi Yechon, but Kiyaytziba Shemaiti. I did hear something similar about where it seems that the shavua of saying that it was stolen didn't really add anything, and yet we'll see whether you pay double or not. What's the story? Rabbi Yechon had toyin tainas of it. He tined it was lost. He didn't say it was stolen, it was lost. And then Vinishba. And then he swore that it was lost. Now remember, if he was caught out lying, you don't pay double. You don't pay double for lost, only if he claimed that it was stolen. Okay. Then V'chaza v'ton tainas ganav. He then went ahead and so in another court which wasn't aware of the first court, and there he claimed that was tiny. That's how Ashla. There was a tiny ganav. Taisa learns that he just came over and amended his first shvur, and he claimed it was stolen Vinishba. So he swore a second time. Ubo Adim came along witness that says, we know that it's sitting in your barn. Potter is potter. So the first shvur he made was that it was lost. The second shvur he made was that it was stolen. He's potter. Now, why does he pay kafir? The Adim say it's in his barn. That means he lied about he swore false about the gneva. Why is he potter? I can tell you why he's potter. You know why? Because he became a ganav. The moment he swore that it was lost when it wasn't, he became a ganav already then. So when he made a shvur later on that it was stolen, that shvur didn't add anything because he was already a ganav. My time, he was a ganav. So using that, applying that logic in the case that you asked, the moment he was shalech bayad, he became a ganav. So if afterwards he swears that it was stolen, he didn't add anything. Amalei said to him, like, no proof whatsoever, and therefore we don't really know the Bechon. Why no proof? When he came along, that he said that it was lost. So he already discharges the din is a Torah that if you say it was lost, you have to swear that it was lost, and then you are potter. So when he made that shvua, he ended his obligations to the owner. And therefore, this second shvua, even though the other bezin made him swear, they had no idea about the first shvua, does not have the din of a shvua shemrim to compel him to pay kefil, because the Torah only allows one shvua. And you already made sure that was lost, and you ended your obligations. So therefore, it's nothing to do with the fact that you wanted to say because you already became a ganav. Nothing to do with that. So we don't know what Rabbi Yechon holds. Comes along Rav Sheshes, and he is the other opinion. We hold diametrically opposite here by Yosef. Comes along Rav Sheshes and says, before we get to that, he said it was lost by Abakadon, Benishban, he swore. Then he goes ahead with Ton, and he tines Geneva that it was stolen, Benishban, he swears. Ubo Eid, made it go along, Potter, even though he swore the second time that it was stolen and it wasn't, you don't pay kafir. Because you already fulfilled your obligations to the owner with the first shvur that was lost. There's no reason to make a second shvur, and therefore that doesn't bring on kefil. Amar Rav Sheshes says, Rav Sheshes, Toyin Tainas Gala the Begotten. Rav Sheshes says, there was somebody a Tainas Gala by Begotten. I disagree. I hold if he claimed Tainas Ganav, Kivan Sheshola Bayad Potter, if he was Sholech Yad, he's Potter. If he used it first and then he swore, he is Potter. Why? Because the Shvur didn't add anything. He was already a Ganav from the moment he used it. My time says, when Nikr Balabais came, if he did not use it, then he has to swear, and then if he's found out to be a Ganav, he pays the double. But if he did use it for himself, Potter, because he already became a Ganav. The shvur didn't add it. You didn't need a shvur to make him a ganav. So therefore, the shvur did not make him a ganav. If the shvur didn't make him a ganav, therefore he doesn't pay kefil. And even though he's a ganav from using it, that ganeva doesn't make you pay kefil because it came into his reshus legally. So that's not the kind of ganeva that you pay kefil. Nachman said, let me ask you a question. There are 3 shvuas we make a shem mechinam swear. First of all, to establish that it wasn't his fault. Shavua shalei peshaitiba. Because if it was his fault, if he was negligent, then anything that happens afterwards he's responsible. Who cares if it was stolen, lost? Too bad. It's your liability because you were negligent. So the first thing he has to do is establish his credentials. Nope, I was not negligent. That's number one. Then the second shvua is shaloi shalachti bayad. I didn't use it for myself. Otherwise, he's a ganav. And the third shvua is she'ein b'shusi. It's not in my reshus that I'm not a ganav. I'm saying it was stolen that I'm not a ganav. Traces and Bava Kama has a whole discussion with all these shvuas, whether it's Matayra Drabanan, whether this is Gilgul shvua or not. Now, my lav. Now, the second shvua, there's a first, second, and third. In the first shvua, if it turned out to be that he was negligent, then he pays, he's responsible, but there's no kafel involved. In the third shvua, when he says it's not a my reshus, if it turns out to be that it is in his reshus, that he's a ganav, he does pay kafel. The question is the middle shvua, shalei shalachti b'yad, and turned out to be that he was shalech b'yad. So does that mean that he pays kafel, and then together with the other shvua of that it was stolen, or not? So the Gemara right now thinks my lab, the shvua shaloi shalachti b'yad, the second shvua, is linked to the third one. Is dumya similar to the shvua she'ein b'shusi, the shvua that it was stolen? The shvua that it was stolen turned out to be that he actually is the one who stole it. He pays double. If it was revealed later that it's in his reshus, chayiv. So shvua, also the shvua shaloi shalachti b'yad, the shvua that I didn't use it for myself. If it turned out to be he did use it, if he did use it, chayiv. Just like the third shvua, he has to pay double. On Malay, that's no proof. They said to him, who said that the second shvua is linked to the third? Maybe the second is linked to the first, and that is loy. Shvua shalei shalachti b'yad dumya the shalei shataba. It's like the first one. I was negligent. Ma shvua shalei b'shataba. The shvua I wasn't negligent. If it turned out to be he was negligent, he's responsible. But you don't pay double. He just pays for the animal, whatever happened. Ki megal yemilsu the pashaba. If it turned out to be that he was negligent, potter. He is potter from kefil. He has to pay for the animal if it's stolen, but not kefil. So maybe av shvua shalei shalachti b'yad. I didn't use it. Ki megal yemilsu the shalba. If it turned out to be that it did use it, is potter mikayf. He no longer pays kafel because he already became a ganav from that moment. No proof either way. Okay, the next question. The next question is actually quite interesting. It's a hakira. By analysis. By Rami Bachama. Rami Bachama wants to know the following. So what do we say if let's say if a person makes a shvu and later he admits that he swore false, he has to pay a penalty of a fifth, and he has to bring a carbon asham, a guilt offering. If let's say Adim found out that he came forward and said that he swore false, then he pays if it's stolen item, he pays kefil. What happens if Aiden come along, he swore that it was stolen, Aiden come along and said, no, it's sitting in your barn, and then afterwards he admits that he swore false. Okay, he has to pay double because of the Aiden. Does he still bring that penalty of a fifth and a carbon asham? And we said before, no. Since Aiden caught him out, even though he admitted later that he swore false, you don't pay those extra penalties. And the question is, why don't you pay the extra penalty? Two ways of understanding. Is it because he's paying kafel double, which is a far greater amount than paying the penalty of a quarter? A chaimish is a quarter. A fifth mil bar is like a quarter mil gav. It's a quarter. Since a double is a lot more than a quarter, then the money for the double included the penalty of the quarter. It supplants that chaimish. Is that the pshat? Or is the pshat that one shvua, one act, one false shvua can only bring on one punishment? So since he now swore false, and as a result, the agent come along and say it's in your place, it's the shvua that makes him pay double. Why are you paying double? You're not the kind of ganav that would normally pay double because you received the cow legally. Why are you paying double? Because you swore false. So this shvua is already being used to make you pay double. We cannot use the same shvua and say, okay, and also pay a penalty of a fifth. One shvua, one full shvua cannot give you two punishments. Is that the pshat? That's the Gemara's question. The Gemara's going to ask, what's the difference? And we'll see in a minute. Says the Gemara, the money, is that poichim and chaimish? Is that the reason why you don't pay the penalty? Because the kefil includes the chaimish? Perhaps shvua it's the shvua. Since the shvua makes you pay the kefil, the shvua cannot make you also pay the chaimish. One full shvua cannot make you pay two punishments. What's the difference? It's a theoretical question that really makes no difference. In both cases, you pay only the kefil, you don't pay the chaimish. I have a very interesting scenario where there'll be a big difference, and that is as follows. He went ahead and he tined that it was stolen. The Nishba, and he swore. Then he went to another court, where the mafkid was very upset, took him to another court, didn't trust him. The chazav v'tain is over. This time he swore that it was lost. The first time he swore that it was stolen, the second time he swore that it was lost. The Nishba he swore. Then Ubo Adim came along witnesses. Akamaisa said, when he said that it was stolen, we know for a fact it was sitting in his barn. They don't in any way protest the second shua about loss because he's saying it happened maybe afterwards, but we know that the first shua is false, which means he has to pay double. But then he turned around and he said, when I said that I got lost the next night, never happened. So he was made on the second shua and he was caught out on the first shua. The question is, does he pay a penalty for the second shua? And now the question follows. Do we say, since the fact is it's one animal, one story, even though he made two separate shuas, since he's paying kaifel on this animal, that covers also the penalty of the chaimish, or perhaps, what happens, not the money, it's the shavua. Since you use the shvua to make you pay kaifel, you cannot use the same shvua to make you pay the penalty of a fifth. But over here, it's two separate shvuas. But the second shvua, the second shvua, since the second shvua is not making you pay kaifel, the second shvua is separate. The first shvua made you pay kaifel, not the second one. Maybe you should pay the penalty of the chaimsha here. Maybe you should pay the penalty. Even though we said before that once you make one shvua to the mafkid, you've discharged your responsibilities, Rashi says that's only referring to kaifel, not to the chaimish. Chaimish is irrelevant. This din that the shvua can only make you pay, once you discharge your shvua, if the second shvua doesn't make you pay kaifel again. But the chaimish is to do with the fact that you made a full shvua, not the fact you stole the animal, a full shvua, then even though you did it 2 or 3 or 4 times before, you can continue denying the fifth. You can end up making 5 shvuas and paying each time the chaimish. So that's the question. Amar says, Toshma, come in here. You approached somebody in the street, nothing to do, he's not your shomer, a stranger, and he said to him, after you robbed me, you stole my shoy, where is it? I did not steal it. I make you swear, he said, Amen. Amen means tantamount to him making the shua. Then come along Adim. The Adim, they come along and say, hey, you're a ganef. And here's a straight out ganef. A straight out ganef, court, pays double. So had he been moide, then it's a case of moide beknas. Even if afterwards Adim come, according to one opinion, the Gemara follows that you are potter. But here the Adim came first and said, "You're a liar, a ganef." He pays kaifel. But before the Adim came, he admitted to the fact that he swore false. So then, and he admitted that he's a ganef. Then he's potem kaifel. So the Adim have nothing to do with the shvua. It's irrelevant if he swore, even if he didn't swear. If the Adim say that he's a ganef, he pays double. But if he was moide before Adim came, moide beknas is potter. He'll be exempt from paying the penalty. Just has to return the stolen item. But then what happens? Because he swore, he pays the keren the chaimish v'asham. He doesn't pay the kaifel, but he has to worry about the shvua that he made the full shvua. Now the hach over here, Adim hu the mechayev lekfela. What do the Adim do? The Adim make you pay the kaifel. The shvua, the fact that he swore that he didn't steal it, has no bearing on the kaifel. When does shvua have a bearing on the kaifel if he was a shomer? A shomer is not a ganef. The shvua, the full shvua turns him into a ganef. But if he was a stranger, the fact that he stole it makes him a ganef. And that is what causes him to pay the double if the Adim caught him. So the shvua has no bearing on it. So the shvua did not make him pay money. And yet it says clearly, and only if he came forward, step forward, he's made himself, he is potter. If the Adim came first and said, and make him pay kaifel, and then he admitted to the shvua, he has to pay the penalty. Why are you still paying the penalty? If the shvua cannot make you pay 2 punishments, only 1, here the shvua didn't make you pay the kaifel. What's making you pay the kaifel? The witnesses, because you're a robber. The shvua is something totally separate. So why doesn't he have to pay the chaimish? It seems here that if the Adim came first and then he admitted, he doesn't pay the chaimish. Why not? Why in the case of hoida acher Adim, if he admitted after the witnesses law, he doesn't pay the chaimish? The witnesses have nothing to do with the shvua. The shvua is now a cause of the pay kaifel, is the witnesses because he's an outright robber. to chayv v'chaimsha. So why is he paying the fifth? Elav shmamina. Why doesn't he have to pay the fifth? Let him pay. The shvu is intact, separate from the whole story, and he swore false. Elav shmamina. Doesn't this prove? Mammon hamechayv keifu paitrasim l'chaimish. It's not the shavua. It's the fact that since from this one animal you're already paying keifu, that keifu covers includes the penalty of a chaimish. Elav shmamina mammon hamechayv keifu paitrasim l'chaimish. Patri chaimish shmamina is a good raya. Okay, we'll stop here. Have a good one.